James and Chelsea from Dead Meat.
Dead Meat?
Yeah,
Yes.
Dead Meat. That's the outline.
What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. Find the final little bastards that did this. They're dead meat.
We saw the movie. We absolutely loved it. And, Robert Eggers, this is his fourth film, and he's known for the historical accuracy that he's always going for with his movies. So what kind of things did you have to do to prepare to meet those high standards that he has that are outside of the usual role preparation?
I mean, there was a lot that went into it. We each got kind of like a tailor-made list of references, like film references, different texts to read, different things that inspired him for, the performances that he wanted us to kind of aim for each character. So that was cool. He's famously very well researched, which I think
crazily well researched.
Yeah, we felt for sure. And then in terms of performance, he's so specific. He really knows exactly what he wants, and I feel like as an actor it's actually quite refreshing because you almost are forced to relinquish all of the usual questions that you're usually asking yourself about how should I do this or that, because there's a really clear and quite beautiful structure that's already there, and so you just have to kind of figure out how you fold into that. It's very cool. I'd never worked like that before, so
yeah, neither.
Cool.
I really liked it. Sort of I find it quite relaxing to be working with someone who knows exactly what they want from you.
Yeah, so he gave you homework pretty much for the roles as far as research materials?
I think he's also very good at reading actors, so everyone gets something different. Him and Willem have a very good shorthand because they've worked together twice before. So I think, he sort of let Willem do his thing with that role. And then he gave me a sort of 2 or 3 page character bible about Anna, very much detailing sort of Anna's past, how she grew up, her religious beliefs, which obviously come massively into play with how she deals with Ellen's spirituality. So that was really helpful. But it's it's a lot of knowledge that provides a sort of foundation, this touchstone that you can use and draw on any moment.
It's interesting you got something about your character's kind of belief and spirituality, because that's something I find interesting about her, is everyone in the movie is kind of on either end of this spectrum of belief, but you kind of tie both of those things together. And I'm so curious if you, throughout the script, throughout filming, are kind of mentally keeping track of how much does your character believe her character, and does that kind of vary depending on where you're at?
It was a note of complexity that I really enjoyed playing in Anna, because she's constantly, this is push and pull between her religious belief and then her empathy and her love of Ellen, and that is constantly knocking heads, and ultimately she obviously chooses the love that she feels for her friend in a way that her husband is unable to. Yeah, it was kind of beautiful. I love their friendship. And it's really...
No, their relationship I feel is a really interesting one and quite complex. Obviously there's, a real kind of love triangle and love story at the heart of this movie, but also Anna and Ellen's friendship was one that a relationship that always really fascinated me, because I feel there's so much to it. In a way, they're kind of mirrors of what the other one can't be, kind of thing. I think I always thought of Anna as the example of the kind of woman that Ellen would like to be, and her kind of her purity and her simplicity, and just the way that things seem to be so clear to her that they should be this way, and that it's everything feels almost quite uncomplicated about her life. And I think she's quite aspirational for Ellen in a way, and doesn't have any of this darkness that Ellen struggles with. And so I think
yeah, she has the happy husband, the 2 kids.
Well, she's living the life that
it's the picture perfect life.
Picture perfect life, and and what a woman, quote unquote, what a woman should be at that time. She's kind of doing it perfectly, and Ellen is not. So
that's interesting. Do you think your character then almost looks at, obviously what your character is going through is horrifying, but there is a bit of liberation and catharsis almost, even just down to the physical performance. Do you think that's something your character's almost
ooh, there's a dangerous allure to it.
Yeah, he has a bit of envy there, or at least a bit of intrigue for Anna, and that was something that Rob put into the Bible. He sort of he told the story of how when they first met, and how Anna had been aware of Ellen because her husband had introduced them, and Anna had always been a bit wary of Ellen, this sort of energy that she gave off. And then they were in the stables one day, and there was Anna's horse was going out of control, and Ellen was able to connect with the horse and calm it down, and there was something really beautiful in that Anna suddenly felt a huge amount of trust and sort of kinship and friendship with this person. Yeah, they kind of are something that the other one really wants to be, or could never be, but really admire in each other.
Yeah, even down to a connection with animals. That's something that's kind of characterized as very feminine. You know, you think of like a Disney princess. They can talk to animals. And how interesting.
I love that he provides that backstory, even though it's not there in the movie.
And you didn't know that until I mentioned it.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
we were
really?
doing an interview like the other day, and Emma like mentioned that, and I was like, I didn't never heard this.
It was mad.
But I'm sure it was so useful for your character in playing.
Yeah, it's like motive and motivation, I think.
Yeah, and I know that he also mentioned doing a similar thing with the set design as far as having details there that wouldn't necessarily be picked up on camera, but it's there to inform the actors and the cast and help them live in the world. So was there anything that stood out to you or that you remember fondly about the environments that you were acting in that maybe doesn't come across on camera but was there for you, making it more real?
Yeah, there was in the Hardings' living room, I remember nosing around in the drawers at the back of the set that weren't really going to be used, but they had all these, I opened a drawer and there were these handwritten love letters between Anna and her husband which are there, which is amazing. Yeah. And like your locket and like the detail on that.
Yeah, the details on, I mean, everything was like so incredibly detailed. I mean, like Emma said, like you could kind of, you know, like nose around any corner of the set and like find something, you know, that was like so incredibly detailed. There was even like, I have a picture somewhere, I should find it, that I took of like Rob sitting in the corner of like your and Aaron's like bedroom in the movie, and it's such a beautiful little like kind of like, it was all green. Do you remember it was like it was to the sides, like this whole all green like little sitting room area that I remember thinking like, this is so beautiful. Like I wish my room had this little sitting room, and you don't see it in the movie at all. And I was like, what a gorgeous little corner of a room. It's like, I've always been a fan of like, you know those, you know, when like in a museum they'll do like recreations of like old
how they used to live.
It's roped off. You can't get in there.
Yeah, exactly. I love those things, and so it almost kind of felt like, you know, getting to like hang around in one of those. But yeah, the attention to detail is like insane, and something that I feel like really, you know.
Yeah, it means that. Yeah, it means that the world's really alive.
Yeah,
Willem always says this great thing where he's like, nothing's pointed at, everything just is there, and you're using it, which makes Rob's world so easy to enter and his film so easy to watch.
Yeah, sounds like a great director to work with. But, yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank
Loved the movie, loved your performances.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
It's great to meet you. We love the movie, and we love Robert Eggers as a filmmaker. And Willem, this is your third time working with him. So I was wondering, did you have any advice or tips to all the newcomers about working with Robert? Any peculiarities about working with him?
They don't need it. Come on, newcomers, schmoecomers. No. Rob's a great director, and he's smart enough to know how to deal with each actor differently, depending on what his take on their process is. And he's got such a specific way of working that everybody will really fall into line, because for me, his way of working is really beautiful and very conducive to entering a world and really inhabiting something.
Yeah, I think costuming especially is so important in his films. And I'm curious, you both have experience doing period pieces. I would love to know about the process of like going from rehearsal to finally putting on the costumes. Does something ever completely change, or does it maybe just intensify your...
I think, intensify is kind of a good word for it.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're doing rehearsals, it can feel kind of fake.
Yeah.
In a way where you're like, okay, but you're figuring out maybe props and these things, you know, in a room that's unrelated to this world or era completely. So then when you end up on the set in the costume and all those elements come together, that's the first time for me normally as an actor where I go, oh yeah, I understand completely what it is that we're getting. Because before then it's easy to feel a little bit foolish and in trying to, you know, lie to yourself about what's happening.
One specific thing about rehearsal is really they've got the shots designed, so they basically tell you what the shots are and then fold you into it, and you get a kind of choreography, and that really becomes a very nice structure. So you can sketch things out, so you enter with a certain kind of knowledge and a certain kind of structure. So on the day, then you can apply yourself in a different way if you had to find those things on the set. You already have sort of a plan, a design, and Robert is such a detail-oriented guy that it's usually a really good plan. And like as far as the costumes, that is also very well researched and very well thought about. And when you enter, of course, they invite you to join in. But The adjustments are really about being on your body, how you feel, how you move, all those things. But it's very organic.
Last question. I know we saw Nosferatu at the DGA, and in the Q&A afterward, Robert mentioned how he did give you guys pointers on how to hold yourselves in a manner that was accurate to the period. So was that an adjustment that you had to make that was different from other acting jobs where, like, period positioning?
The classic.
The clothes do a lot of the time. And the moment you're wearing different shoes, like that changes how you stand and walk, and all those things make an element. Yeah.
And that's indicative of everything. The world he creates tells you what to do.
Yeah, it sounds like between the costuming, the set deck, everything, it just really makes your jobs
down
a little easier.
You know, props and things like that. They're so beautiful. They come from a place. They're rooted. They have an origin. They have a purpose. And when you have a world that's so complete like that, you enter it.
It shows on screen. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you both so
Yeah,
much.
sure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your time.